Hi, everybody. The channel is Murphy Media. I'm your host, Michael. We have the great honor and privilege to be joined by Alen Stefan. How was my pronunciation?
You're all good. All good.
Perfect. Well, Alen, is a great privilege to have you on. You are a Swedish volunteer that is helping the cause in Ukraine. And with that, I try to make this channel as much as possible about the people that are volunteering and share their stories. So with that very short lead in, would you tell us a little bit about yourself? And we'll do a little background.
Sure. Thank you for having me on your channel. It's actually the first time I'm on like an international or American show or interview for that matter. My background is I'm of Croatian descent. I'm born in Sweden, but as I say, if the cat is born in the stable, it's not a horse. You're always going to be Slavic. You're always going to be Croatian. So that's my thing. In 1991, my ancestors fought the Serbs, not going into politics too much in the Balkans. It was a war of, they wanted to be free. They've been suppressed for a lot of years, like 70, 80 years. They've been suppressed. And when that happened, I was 13 years old. I'm born in 1978, so I was 13 years old. I couldn't do anything. And when I saw what happened in Ukraine, people fighting for their freedom, I was like, damn, now I'm 44, 45 now. I'm able to do something about this. I'm going to do whatever I can. I'll give it everything I have. So that's my background. In my line of work, I have a kind of a hard time like making out what I should do for a living. I have a small trucking company, but I don't drive trucks anymore. I haven't done since I got my kids, and I'm actually basically a dozer driver at Sweden's biggest privately owned company for recycling. So that's what I do. I process like toxic ground materials and stuff like that. That's what I do. Like on my 8 or 10 hour work days. That's my background. And I have the trucking company and the volunteer work. I really don't know what takes more time or less time, but I'll say I'm giving the volunteer work my like good hours, my like productive hours.
Sure. That's fantastic. Oh, go ahead. I apologize.
No, yeah, we're good.
So our connection was made through a mutual friend, our friend Reese, who we've had on the channel before, and you have done some work with Reese, and he has been to date the largest tuned into interview we've had. So having said that, what was the connection that you made with Reese, and how did that come about? He has nothing but wonderful, laudable things to say about you.
Yeah, that was actually a funny thing. I'll say I've kind of been struggling with people in Ukraine with some volunteers, some people talk the talk, but they don't walk the walk. It's like, and one day I got a call from a Danish volunteer in Dnipro, and he said, he was in Poltava then, and he called me and said, I know you're coming like next week. Could you give a guy a ride from Warsaw? I said, of course. And he was like, I'll text you the name, and yeah. So I got a name, and like the spelling of the name, I thought I was having a Polish guy like with me, because Maurice or Moritz, it's the same spelling, different pronunciation, different country. I was thinking I'm having a like Polish guy with me. Go down to Warsaw, and we always have the same meeting place, Auschan Ursinov, outside of Warsaw. And like Reese turns up, like the most American guy I've ever met. And we just like from the first second, we just hit it off. It was like, you go in my car, I'm driving you down, let's haul ass. And from that second, I just like that guy's, you know how many years he's done in US Army. He's been to like places I didn't even know they had a conflict there, like somewhere in Latin America, some shithole basically. And he has the experience. And still, this is the most humble guy I've ever met. Like, ever. And actually on that run, we had one car with us that was going to some like undefined place, unit, whoever needed it. I just told Reese, like, we just crossed the border. And I told him, like, the black cars, that's yours. That's now you drive a Volvo. You do what you need with it. That's how, like, our contact started. And I do quite a lot of runs. Sometimes more frequent than less. And I was like, in a couple of weeks, I was going once again. I was like, come to me in Dnipro. We'll like set everything up. And I was in the beginning of the like volunteer game, trying to get my connection straight and like who can I trust, who's not trustworthy. And I just felt like I would trust this guy with my life. He's just the totally honest guy. That's how I met him, and we kept like in touch on Signal basically every day, or sometimes 5 times a day. We're on the phone at least twice a week, and like he's such a great guy. He was actually before Easter. He was at my place here in Sweden. He was back in America, tying some loose ends up and like that. I was like, this guy's playing with my daughters, like 4 and 8 years old, like the most wonderful guy you ever met. And he does so much in Ukraine, and sometimes gets very little in return. And he's experienced the volunteer game like the same way I've done. Some people talk more than they do, and he also struggled to find his like true path in that game in Ukraine, and he's there now. He's on the right way. I talked to him like for like an hour and a half yesterday, and he's good. He got as you probably know, he got a kick from a grenade, as my Ukrainians often describe it. But he's more of like angry. He's not with his guys. He knows his potential. He knows how much his experience is worth down there. Because down there, they're taking guys. We actually had a discussion about this yesterday. There's a lot of guys in the 30s, a lot of guys in their 40s, a lot of guys in their 50s, but they're like not enough guys in their 20s. They're still living their life. It's like, because they have voluntary conscription, they don't have mandatory. So the young guys like, yeah, my dad can go fight for me, more or less. That's one of the things he's been like having issues with because okay, experienced people are really good, but if you're going to train a guy in like the NATO standards, you need like fresh, like blank sheet of paper that you can paint in the direction you want it. And that's one of his struggles. He is, but he does such we actually said my game is like we're all over the place in this now. My game is cars, like jeeps, cars, vans, like different things. And yesterday we actually agreed that fall is coming, like dirt is coming. We're gonna exchange his Volvo for something better suited, like a really good terrain vehicle. That's my game. That's what I do.
And when Reese said that you and I needed to talk, as you said, the amount of trust that he engenders when you talk with him, you get that sense he's a real and genuine person. So when he put your name forward, I thought this is a connection we've got to make and share your story. So in talking about vehicles, I know another passion of yours is working with disabled veterans. But as drilling down on the vehicles, how did you get started in this? What is the procurement process like? I know painting and just the general importance of a solid, good vehicle in Ukraine.
This happened more or less. I saw a need for good all-terrain vehicles, and I'm an ex-race car driver. I'm an ex-mechanic in a race car team. So the cars is what I know, what I do. I'm not a very like educated person. I've always been like winging it through life. I started like my trucking company, and I had my diggers, I had my loaders, and I had somewhere like, I don't know, 14, 15, 16 employees and trucks and like everything before and it came from nowhere. I knew how to drive a digger. I knew how to dig, and all of a sudden I had all these things. So that's the big thing. I was like, they need good trucks and cars. And one of the issues is that everything in Poland, like Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, everything on the east side of the Baltic Sea, they're like, it's empty. You can't find a good pickup truck, like a four-wheel drive pickup truck. They bought everything. So I went to Sweden, and now the Estonians and the like NAFO 69th Sniffing Brigade, awesome guys. They're like buying. If they drive 16 trucks to Ukraine, they have like 12 of them have the Swedish plates on them. So I was like, okay, pickup trucks, that it's off like the table. What are we going to do? So SUVs. So that's my thing. So I started buying SUVs. In Sweden, we have really strange tax laws. If you have a 10-year-old SUV with a big diesel engine, it's so hard on its tax that you're basically gonna pay what the car is worth in 3 years just in road tax. So people are like dumping these cars or SUVs really cheap on other owners. So that I picked up. So I've been buying the SUVs, and when they come home to me, I don't know how much you see. One of my garages in the background. I bring everything here. I check everything. Looks so everything is all right. Change some oils like brakes or something. Paint everything in real like UV resistant color. It's like it's really done in a good state. And then when everything's done, when the car is done, more or less, then I like give out a hand or contact somebody and like, do you have a unit that needs this kind of truck? Because all trucks have different varieties. I had an awesome big Ford Excursion 7.3 liter diesel V8. It was like, who's not a gangbanger in Sweden? It was like, who needs this car? Who needs to like lots of loading capacity, big guys like with the gear, 5 guys in the truck without a problem. Yeah, and the IDAR an IDAR unit, they needed it because they had to drive both the unit, and grenades in it. So it's like every truck has a purpose. So if you have like a fast Volvo SUV, that's maybe not something for the front line. It's not that rugged. But if you have like a Ford Excursion or I have one SUV is coming tomorrow. It just came from Stockholm today. I just missed it. I had to go get the kids from daycare, so I'm bringing it tomorrow. That's a real like terrain vehicle. It's a rock climber. It's like really sturdy, big, like 33-inch tires, and that one's getting painted and delivered next week. So those types of cars are going for like the front lines, like 0.0 lines. These guys need these trucks. They can do evacs with them. They can like run all the way to the front with them. They're really good vehicles. So that's how I got into it. I was thinking, how can I do this in a good manner, not just wasting donor money. That's the biggest thing for me. Every donated dollar, Swedish crown, euro, whatever, I always stretch it to like I can make $2 out of a buck just utilizing what I have, my contacts, like everything. That's the big thing for me. The donors always have to feel that they're getting their. They have to trust me. They have to get their money's worth. So that's what's most important to me, like keeping people's trust.
And as you send these vehicles in, we know that the Ukrainian terrain, the Ukrainian roads, are very unforgiving for equipment that comes in. We know they're not in the best shape. And do you get to keep up with the vehicles that you send in and know how they're holding up to the environment?
Yeah, I get a lot of feedback on the vehicles. Always like the first month or two, I get good feedback. Then the cars like kind of drop out from me, but they're donated to a unit or to an organization, so it's fine. It's okay, as long as I see that they're used in the right way. I don't want to see some commander joyriding one of my trucks in Kiev. I'm gonna get really pissed about that. So I have one loss. I think I've delivered somewhere around 15 cars. We had one loss, and it's not like a grenade loss. It didn't get shot at. It was actually just the crappy truck. I don't want to offend anybody, but it was the first American truck I drove there. It was like, yeah, it was kind of crap. So that's a goner. I think it's like they used it for I don't know, trying like CV90s or I don't know, or just broke it up for parts.
Well, and for any American vehicle heads and nuts that are going to be on here, we're just going to chalk that up to one bad truck. We won't put that on American manufacturing and know-how.
Yeah. Well,
So
pin it on the British. It was a Ford.
Okay, yeah, we'll blame the Brits. We'll
Yeah.
blame the Brits. We have a few of them that tune in pretty regular too. So if you have any feedback on anything like that to our British audience, please tune in and let us know what's going on. But so something else you had mentioned in describing yourself to me, you had talked about disabled veterans that kind of fall out of attention. Forgotten is the word that you had said. And I know that's something near and dear to you. Are you currently working on any disabled veteran causes? We've seen the cost of the war. Those of us that have remained engaged and follow this, and that is something that we can talk about the counteroffensive, the valor of the Ukrainians, but there are casualties to this from the international volunteers to the Ukrainians themselves. Is that something that you're actively engaged in?
Yeah, and here, this is gonna be like a kind of a sore topic. I'm probably get some heat for this, but we only talk about Ukrainian gains, not losses, and we have to be like true to ourselves and realize that war has casualties in both ends. And if I know that the media likes to put it as that Ukraine are gaining so much land, they're doing this and that. Ukrainians have a lot of casualties, both guys coming back without their limbs, without hands and feet and legs and arms. But it's never a lost cause. Just because you don't have your hand, you're going to be like, you have the potential to be a really good contributing person. And here's somewhat of the Swedish mindset in me. If somebody overcomes some kind of obstacle and comes out like on the other side, we always look at them as good people who struggled and won. And this is something, this is so strange. In Sweden, like if you had a criminal past, you overcome that, you became a law-abiding citizen, people are going to actually look up to you that you did that journey. You took yourself from rock bottom and you took yourself up to like being a model citizen. So you tried both sides. And one of the things in Ukraine that people don't talk about is, here's what I'm gonna get some heat about. I have a lot of work. I do a lot of work with Kenneth Gregg. He's from Finland, but like northwest Finland, where they speak Swedish with an accent. Sounds so. He lived a life that like wasn't on the straight path all his life, but on 24th of February he was in Germany. He was living in Ukraine, married to Ukrainian woman. On 24th, like when the full-scale invasion started, he was in Germany. Everybody was like running over the border to Poland. He was like, fuck this. He took his car and he just like shot to the border. And even the border guards were telling him, there's a war going on over there. If we let you in now, it's not sure that you're going to be able to get out again. It's like, because you have a Ukrainian ID and like everything, you can be conscripted. It was like, fuck this, I'm going for the Russians. I'm getting the Russians. So as and in that time, 50-year-old guy took up arms, and he was in there freeing Bucha, freeing Irpin. He went when that heat, like when they fucked off from there, he went for Kharkiv. And he said, I was so worried about Kharkiv because they were Russian speaking. But he said, like, his words, they fought like hell. They wanted to be free, no matter what language. Like the Russian speaking, they're just, he said, the best guys to have, like, by your side fighting. And they got the like Russians out from Kharkiv, Bucha, everything there. And one of the things, this is actually a funny story. he got wounded. He got some shrapnel, like, in his buttock, and I'm seeing, like, the movie with Tom Hanks. What's
Forrest Gump.
Forrest Gump? Yeah.
Yes.
When the president asks him where he was wounded, and he, like, pulls his pants down. He actually got, like, shrapnel in his ass, and he didn't want to tell his commander. So he just got the medic, like, pulled that thing out of my ass and just tape it up. And we're going fighting. And this is not like one of those stories that's, yeah, he made it up something. I've actually seen photos of his, like, blueberry blue ass, like, from his wound. So I was laughing my off. So that's a true story, and that's the dedication this guy had. Even he had his rugged past. He's made amends. He's a good person now, and he fought like crazy. He fought like hell, and that's one of those things that I like about him. He came up on the right side, and he actually saw the guys coming back, like, without hands, arms, limbs. They needed rehab. They needed, like, PTSD treatment. They needed all that, like, and this wasn't really a thing then. He lives in Brovary. It's kind of northeast of Kyiv. And there was nothing there in that line of work for the veterans. And people are coming from the front lines wounded. They need treatment. They need to, like, have the opportunity to live their life to the fullest, no matter, like, missing a hand or a foot or something. There are prostheses for everything. We're in the, like, it's 2023. We can do anything. So that's how I got into the, like, rehab part. So we're feeding a rehab clinic, private rehab clinic, with, you probably saw our vans for disabled people.
Yes.
Like, yeah, with ramps for wheelchairs, with seats, like, low flooring, so they can get in easy. That's one of the project things. And the EU actually sent Brovary, the mayor there, like the council, money to set this up. And that guy, he bought, like, Italian suede shoes and a awesome suit for the money. Like, that's I'm not saying that Ukraine is more corrupt than other countries, but it's much more visible in that.
That's fascinating. Um, and just you had mentioned receiving blowback, and just for a point of clarification, and I know you tell that story and you share these experiences, and that sense of openness, as you mentioned, being able to discuss these things accurately, honestly, it's not, it shouldn't be felt as any kind of a slight or a knock against the efforts of the Ukrainian people. It's just we've interviewed people on the channel that are training combat medicine so that these things can be avoided. These losses can be avoided on the front end, and having that open conversation with volunteers such as yourself and sharing these stories of people that are involved in this, those are efforts that can mitigate the loss of life and limb on the back end. So to anyone that would see that and take that the wrong way, it's not a slight, in my opinion, as I hear that as a Westerner. That's putting it out there and being open and honest so that the loss of life and limb can be prevented after these people come home, so that they do have that future. So thank you for sharing that. I think that's wildly important. Donations. So much of our volunteers' work is donation funded. I know it's a huge deal. We've all been through this. We've seen it. The donations slowed down. They started to kind of trickle in, and then they kind of just went away. How much of your work is based on donation? And if people see this and want to donate to your efforts, how do they go about that? Is there something that we can do here to amplify what you're doing?
I can say more or less. Excuse me. As I explained, my stretching of dollars, that's basically, if somebody gives me a buck, I try to like put in one of my bucks, because I don't need so much and people need it better. My kids are fed. My wife is fed. I have a beautiful family and a wonderful house. So if somebody gives me something, I always try to stretch it. So I use lots of my own money, but the situation isn't stable doing it that way. So when I get donations, I always try to do the best out of it. As an example, we don't use donations for fuel or for like hotels or ferries. We have a ferry between Sweden and Poland. That's something we like collect among each other, like the volunteers. So the people donating always feel that we use their money in the right way. And yeah, donations have been hard. It was really easy. I remember when I did my first run. This started on Thursday morning for us in Sweden, the full-scale invasion. Friday night, I was planning the first run. It was to Poland. It was a full truck. At that time, I actually had a hard time spending all the cash people donated. So we're like, okay, this is not gonna work. We're like, the truck is full, the trailer is full, everything's full. It was actually overloaded. Like, okay, leave the rest for next run. So, but as the time went by, and also because of Russia, we had an energy crisis in Sweden, when our utility bills could like wander off from $200 a month to $1,200 a month. Of course, people are going to hold their cash much harder, hold on to their bucks, the hard-earned money. But somehow we have like a we don't ask for 10 $2,000. We can ask for like, yeah, we would like to collect $2,000. We can do this car. And people actually donate. They help us. And the more we get, the more runs we can do. Sometimes we don't do a run in 2 months. It's because we're strapped for cash. We have the capacity to do at least one run a month. At this time, we're up to next Friday. We're doing our third run in 2 months, or like in 6 weeks or 7 weeks. So yeah, sometimes you strike gold, but it's hard. And we have the channels. I use my own PayPal. That's one of the channels I support Reese on. So people can donate if they want to. They can donate to my PayPal. I can transfer the money to my bank in Sweden. No worries. But that's the hardest thing now, and it has been like not the first one, but it's the donations. We're not a big organization. We're like now we're like 4 or 5 guys that organized ourselves into something we're calling Help Ukraine in West. It has a really strange way when you say it in yeah, because we're in the west of Sweden. Like, and we collect so much gear, like hospital medicine, wheelchairs, strollers. People donate to us, and it's really good. So it's, but it's always the cash. We're always strapped for cash. That's our biggest like obstacle. We could do so much more, but in the volunteer game, there are a lot of organizations that are much more known. They basically have a PR department or somebody's, yeah, that guy's he knows like IT. He's gonna do it. But we don't even have a web page. Maybe we'll get someday, but like we're doing it off Facebook. But our big thing is that I really hope that I think people trust us. I know people trust us. They know that we always deliver what we've promised. Always. We never let anybody down. So that's, as I said, that's our biggest obstacle, funds. We could do so much more, but we're not like known YouTubers or like celebrities. So
Well, that's until today happened. We're gonna amplify this message, and in the description below the interview, we're going to include Alan's PayPal. We're going to include a link to the Facebook page, so everybody that would see this, if this is something you're interested in, check these links out, make a donation, and help support this great effort that he and his team are putting together. And as he said, every dollar you donate will be stretched into $2. So I think that's special.
Yeah.
Alan, is there anything that we haven't covered that you'd like to put out there to people that are tuning in, that are viewing you?
Yeah, I think that people need to be reminded of that. I know I'm very aware of the political situation in the States. We have more or less the same in Sweden. Winds are blowing hard right or hard left. Just to say to people that remember that these guys are fighting for their freedom. No matter what your political opinions are, a tax buck for you, it means so much for them. So I would like to see people unite in a like better way and put their differences aside and support these guys because they're basically fighting off big Russia with sticks, and we're not I know Reese was in on this topic. We owe them this because we screwed them with the Budapest Agreement, and we can leave it at that. People can Google it. These are just normal people, families, young guys, young girls, dads, granddads, grandmas, fighting to be free. And who doesn't want to be free? It's like the national anthem of America, land of the free.
I think that's very well said. This is, and maybe you can expand on this. This is, and I say this in a lot of our interviews, this is a war not so much about guns and bullets, but about values. And I think that you are a great example of those values with the work that you're doing. Being able to put your efforts out there is a distinct honor, and I appreciate it very much. I appreciate having you on, and I look forward to sharing your message and your cause. If anytime you'd like to come back on and share your work, I'd be humbled to broadcast it. As I said to everyone, if you check the description below, you will find methods of donation. You'll find Alan's Facebook page, and take a look, get involved. It's a great, worthy cause, and something that we're very proud to have here. So thank you very much.
Yeah, and if anyone has any questions, just hit me up on Messenger, WhatsApp, Signal, or anything. I'll be happy to answer them. And most of all, thank you for having me. It's been a really nice acquaintance. And I actually hope I have some good stories to share in some time after we're doing this.
Oh, absolutely. And as I said, anytime you're welcome to come on, we'd love to have you. But no, this has been a wonderful interview. I think that the work you're doing is very noble, and I can't thank you enough.
Thank you. Thank you for everything.
Wonderful. Well, we will talk soon, and we'll be in touch. And I think as soon as this is over, I think that we need to make it a point that you, myself, and Reese, we need to get together, whether it's in Crimea for a beer on the beach or whatever it may be. We need to put that on our agendas and make that happen. That'd be great.
Of course. You have my promise on that one.